Hi class, this is Mrs. Snowbeck. Today we are going to review Unit 5 and start getting ready for our Unit 5 quiz. So we'll do this like we do all the reviews. I'm going to have you pause the video for each question, try it, and then unpause the video and check if you got it right. So go ahead and pause your video and try number 1. So on this we need to cross multiply. We're going to cross multiply to solve this proportion. So when we do that, we're going to do x plus 3 times x plus 9, and that's going to equal 8 times 5. Now when you multiply x plus 3 times x plus 9, that is multiplying binomials, so you're going to need to FOIL. So multiply the firsts, the outsides, the insides, and the lasts. And then that's going to equal 8 times 5, which is 40. So remember, you can't just multiply a couple of things. You have to multiply all 4 combinations. If you'd rather do the box method there instead of FOIL, you could. Now combine your like terms. And before you can actually solve this for x, you're going to need to get a 0 on one side. All right, so now we are ready. So you have 2 choices. One is you can factor, or 2 is you can use the quadratic formula. Since there's not a number in front of the x squared, I would probably tend to factor, and so I'm going to try to think of 2 things that multiply to be negative 13, but add to be 12. So I'm thinking of 13 and 1, and I think we would need to make the 1 negative. If I multiply 13 times negative 1, I get negative 13. If I add 13 plus negative 1, I get 12. So that seems correct to me. So I'm going to make my 2 empty parentheses. I know an x goes in the front of each of those, a positive 13 goes in one, and a negative 1 goes in the other. But remember, solving this, my solutions are actually the opposites of those numbers. So my answers will be x equals negative 13, x equals positive 1. Go ahead and pause the video and try number 2. So we have the ratio of the height of a model of a house to the actual house is 1 to 63. So the model is 1, the actual is 63. The width of the model is 16. Find the width of the actual. So this is width over actual. This is width over actual. I line up my labels, basically. Now we're going to have to cross multiply. So I'm going to multiply 1 times x, which is x. I'm going to have to grab a calculator here and type in 63 times 16. And I get 1,008, and it would be inches, would be the actual width. If you wanted to, you could convert that to feet by dividing by 12, but it doesn't say that we have to do that, so this is an okay answer. Please try number 3, and when you're done, unpause the video. So this is an extended ratio, 9 to 6 to 5. So you take those numbers and you put an x behind them and you add them together. So 9x plus 6x plus 5x. And all together they are going to add up to 100, which is the perimeter of the triangle. So combine your like terms. I believe that is 20x equals 100. Divide by 20, x equals 5. But that is not your final answer. For your final answer, you're going to have to take that 5. You're going to plug it in here and here and here. And so 9 times 5 is 45 inches. And then we have 6 times 5, which will be 30 inches. And then we have 5 times 5, which is 25 inches. And so those are actually the lengths of the 3 sides of the triangle. Please try number 4 and unpause the video when you're done. 2 similar rectangles have a scale factor of 6 to 3. The perimeter of the small rectangle is 20. Find the perimeter of the large. The 20 is going to go on the bottom because this is large over small, so over here we have to have large over small. The large is what we're going to try to solve for. So now cross multiply, and you're going to have 3x equals 120. Then divide by 3, x equals 40. So the perimeter of the larger rectangle is 40 meters. Please pause the video and try number 5. Number 5, go ahead and pause the video. Determine if the following figures are similar. So what you have to do is you have to check all of the angles and see if they're congruent. And I can see angle P is congruent to angle W, angle Q is congruent to angle X, angle R is congruent to angle Y, angle S is congruent to angle Z. So all of the angles match up. And then what you have to do is you have to check the sides. And you have to think like, okay, well, this side up here is 3 and this side is 7.5. 3 to 7.5, and then the next side has a ratio of also 3 to 7.5. And the next side also has a ratio of 3 to 7.5. And the last side is 3 to 7.5. So they all have the same ratio, or they're all proportional. So you would say yes, PQRSS is similar to WXYZ. Check all the angles, all the sides. Angles have to be congruent, sides have to be proportional. Go ahead, try number 6. I always like to start by drawing a picture, so I'm going to draw a rectangle and I'm going to label it ABCD. I'm going to start right here. It doesn't matter where you start, but once you start going around the object, you have to continue going around in that same direction. So I went clockwise and I labeled ABCD. Now this has a width of 8 and a length of 5, so we'll just say this is 8, this is 5. Then we have another rectangle, and this one is WXYZ, and I want to draw and label it in corresponding order with A, B, C, D. So like A and W match up, B and X, C and Y, D and Z. You have to match those up. The length is 12. And so before our length was 5, now our length is 12. So our 12 actually goes here. And we want to find the scale factor of ABCD to WXYZ. Well, find corresponding sides. I see a 5 and a 12 that match up. Those are the two that I want to use. And so the scale factor is 5 to 12. And if you can reduce that, but if not, just leave it 5 to 12. Please try number 7. For number 7, you can use the shortcuts for triangles to determine if they are similar. Remember, the shortcuts are angle, angle, side, 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 and side, angle, side. So if you can get one of these combinations, you'll have enough to know if they're similar. You don't have to check all the angles and all the sides. So right away, I see I do have one angle, and it is congruent. So what I want to check next are the sides and see if they are proportional. So I have 3 to 4, which right here matches with right here. So that comes out to be 0.75 if I want to do it that way. And then I have the 6 and the 8. The 6 matches up with the 8. And so if I reduce that, I also get 0.75. Since I got the same ratio, then I can say I have a side, an angle, and a side in these triangles. So I would say yes, triangle MNP is similar to triangle QRS by side, angle, side. and I labeled what triangles were similar and also what theorem I used. So these triangles are similar. It tells me that, but I also know that because of those parallel lines, these angles would be congruent and these angles would be congruent, and this third angle would be the same size in both triangles as well. So I know these triangles are similar by angle, angle. And since they're similar, all of their matching parts will be proportional. So what I'm going to do is set up a little proportion, like the 14 matches up with the 6. Now, this is tricky because on the small triangle, the side is x plus 2. So I know x plus 2 goes down here because the 6 was down there. But on the big triangle, that whole side is actually 4x minus 1. Because if you combine the x and the 3x, you get 4x. And if you combine 2 and negative 3, you get negative 1. So 4x minus 1 is what I'm actually going to use up there. Now I'm going to cross multiply. So cross multiply, we're going to do 14 times x plus 2, and we're going to do 6 times 4x minus 1. You're going to have to distribute, so you get 4x plus 28 equals 24x minus 6. Keep going, just combine your like terms, use your algebra skills. So you get 28 equals 10x minus 6, add your 6. So 10x equals 32, I think. Divide by 10, and 3.2 equals x. We are not done. We have to find VT. So I'm going to take the 3.2 and I'm going to plug it in right there. So for VT, it's going to be 3.2 plus 2, which is 5.2. And I don't see a label, so then I don't need to label. Please try number 9. So right away I see these tick marks, and those tick marks mean that they're equal to each other or congruent. So 2x plus 1 should equal the x plus 7. So easy enough, we just quickly solve that. X is 6. But since those two sections on that transversal were congruent, then these two sections over here are also congruent. So 3y minus 8 will also equal y plus 5, because they have to have the same proportion as the other two, which in this case shows that they're going to be equal. Minus out your y, add your 8, divide by 2, and it looks like we get 6.5. Okay, so that's the start of a review for this quiz. Next, I want you to try Worksheet Unit 5 review. I will have the answers posted in Schoology, so check your answers and see how you're doing on it. When you get stuck, send me a Schoology message. I'll be happy to help. Have a great day.